Hey everyone, it's Ryan here. As you can see, I'm wearing a not penny shirt, so you can see how long I've had this shirt. I sort of bought it at the time when Big Bang Theory was actually popular. Uh, about like season 3 or so, like season 3 or 4. I've kind of stopped watching after that. I think a lot of other people lost interest. Anyway, I'm not here to talk about my shirt. I'm here to talk about game week 10 of the Premier League and the results for it. So, very first match on Friday was Newcastle versus. We're gonna have a look in a sec. Just loading it up. Crystal Palace. Newcastle end up winning 2-0 with 2 late goals from Callum Wilson and Joe Linton. Obviously, Joe Linton being the bigger surprise. Like I said, there wasn't too much to the match. It was just 2 very late strikes. Joe Linton and Callum Wilson helping each other, so Newcastle get a much needed win. On to Saturday, Brighton versus Liverpool. Probably one of the biggest talking points of the day. A lot of controversy or so. First one being, so Brighton get a penalty, Maupay misses it, and then immediately after Salah goes and scores. But then it's registered by VAR as offside because his foot is like half an inch ahead of the Brighton defender, which basically isn't offside and basically is one of Klopp's complaints. I'll get into that in a minute. The other big complaint that they had was in the last minutes, I believe, Robertson goes to clear the ball, but Welbeck gets a touch on it and Robertson ends up booting Welbeck in the foot. It's basically like less than half a second between them. But obviously they start complaining about it not being a foul because he's gone to clear the ball and it's not intentional. But you watch it back and it's literally... He has kicked him in the foot. Welbeck's got the ball away and Robertson's booted Welbeck in the foot. It may not be intentional, but it's happened. Hence the penalty. And I don't see how people can complain about that not being a penalty because that's just how the rules are. It's literally, if you make contact with the player, regardless of if you're going for the ball or not, then it's going to be a foul. And just with the... not... I wouldn't say he was being aggressive. Again, he was just trying to clear the ball. But at the end of the day, he's booted Welbeck in the foot. And basically, they get the late penalty and they score. Klopp then goes on to complain about VAR in the post-match interview. And then he starts having a go at Chris Wilder because he said it's not fair. Because basically, Klopp and Pep want 5 subs back for their players. Mainly because they're the ones getting the injury problems. But then again, so is everyone else. Chris Wilder said they shouldn't bring it back because it's not fair on the lower teams such as Sheffield United and Fulham, West Brom, etc. Because they don't have the squad that Liverpool and Man City do. They don't have 5 replaceable players. And Klopp basically called him selfish for it, which I find ironic because Klopp and Pep are the only 2 that actually want it because they actually have squads they can do that. I mean, Pep constantly rotates his squad as it is. So yeah, I think it's just Klopp being a bit moody about something. Obviously VAR striking again. There's the whole Liverpool thing going on. Normally that's when it's in favour of Liverpool, but obviously it's not working now. But it's one of those things, annoyingly, where you have people, like Liverpool fans complaining that they were robbed by VAR, and then you got the other people saying, well, it's definitely helped you last season, because in a way it sort of did. And they try to bring up the facts. It's like, Liverpool this season had 8 decisions against them because of VAR, whereas other teams have had about 4 or 3 against them. But what they're not taking into account is how many of those have been against Liverpool for those other teams, because there's been a fair amount of them. And it was quite a bit last season. I think it's mainly just because they're not winning all the time. It's probably one of their main complaints. And like Man City were down in 14th at one point. And I guess with Liverpool as well, they do have a lot of injury issues. So I can see why he's wanting to bring in the whole sub thing. But again, look at the size of the squad he's got. And there's some players that he's not using that he has. Why is he not just using them, On to the next match. And speaking of Man City before, it was Man City versus Burnley. And Man City beat Burnley 5-0. If I remember correctly, 3 seasons in a row now, Man City have beat Burnley 5-0. And it was a Mahrez hat-trick. I think Foden got one. And then I think Jesus got the other one. So again, Burnley losing to Man City. Man City working their way back up the table with a 5-0 win. Everton versus Leeds, just 1-0 to Leeds. Everton, I feel like the magic has gone for them, what they had at the beginning of the season. They definitely have their full squad back now, apart from Digne, but like apart from that, they've still got Calvert-Lewin, they've got Richarlison, they've got Rodriguez, they've got Decore, and it's just not working for them. I don't know why. West Brom beat Sheffield United 1-0. A much needed win for West Brom, but again for Sheffield United, they're still rock bottom, only 1 point after 10 games. It's not a good look for them. I definitely see them going down at this rate if nothing changes. Sunday, Southampton 2, Man United 3. I was at work for this one and I managed to... I think it was before work, and I checked it at about half time before going to work, and it was 2-0 to Southampton, so I thought it was going to be another loss for United. And then I check it on my break, and it turns out they won 3-2. Cavani being a super sub is an understatement. After he came on, he assisted Fernandes in the first goal, and then he got 2 headers himself. Definitely, like obviously people were doubtful at first because obviously he's sort of quite old now, and like another striker's not really what we needed. But I think Cavani's definitely proved his worth already. Let's hope he can sort of keep it up. Might get him more game time over Martial. Martial, I don't believe was playing. I think they're Rashford and Greenwood to start with. De Gea had to come off at half time because of a knee injury he suffered trying to save Ward-Prowse's shot. He got his hand on it after it went over the line, but just the way he landed, he hit his knee on the post. So Henderson winning goal. I think he got a few saves, which was good for him. It's trying to say in a way that I don't mean it in a harsh way, but I just sort of hope that with De Gea's injury, it's a couple of weeks or so, because I really want Henderson to play for Man U, like in the Premier League. Like he's a really good goalkeeper. He kept 13 clean sheets for Sheffield United last season. I think he was like 4th highest of all the goalkeepers. And I think there's like rumours that Leeds and I think West Brom want to have him on loan or to buy him. And if it means more game time for him, then fair enough. But like I said, I really want him to actually do something for Man U. And maybe if De Gea does have this knee injury, he's actually out for a couple of weeks, then Henderson can actually get a go. Chelsea versus Tottenham was 0-0. Not much to talk about. Just both defensively, they done quite well. Chelsea, yet again, another clean sheet. Tottenham are, with their point, they it's better than a loss for them. So that's pretty much all I can say. Arsenal versus Wolves. Wolves beat Arsenal 2-1. Biggest talking points, Arsenal's lacklustre defending, which sort of isn't anything new. They've now, I believe, dropped into the bottom half of the table, or were there before. I think they were 10th before. I believe Neto scored the winning goal. I can't remember who scored the first goal for them. Or he might have scored the first goal and I can't remember who scored the second goal. Gabriel got the goal for Arsenal. But the biggest talking point of the match was David Luiz and Jimenez both going for the ball and clashed heads. Jimenez had to be taken off with the oxygen, meaning it was a very serious head injury. David Luiz was actually bleeding from the head, and they decided to bandage him up and let him keep on playing, which I believe is a very bad move on their behalf, considering the past week or so they've been talking about the importance of dementia and concussions and reducing headers in practice. Yet someone that is bleeding from the head, has bandages on, is completely fine to play. It's a bit backwards, you know. They should have took him off. As much as, I don't know if, Arteta ran out of subs, but even in the case, if it's a case of an injury, they should allow that sub because of something as serious as that. And then finally, on to Monday, or last night, because I'm doing this very early Tuesday morning. Leicester versus Fulham. Fulham won 2-1. Felt very similar to the last game that Leicester had. They went 2 goals down and they decided to leave it a bit too late to actually start being offensive. Lookman got the first goal. He had acres of space, managed to slot it into the bottom corner. This match I watched, I have a bit more detail on it. The second one was a penalty. Fuchs took down one of the players and Cavallero took the penalty and actually scored. There seems to be a thing with Leicester where if a team's on bad form or a player's on bad form, Leicester are their solution. So, for example, Firmino had a really bad record of scoring, and next you know he scores for them. Solanke last season for Bournemouth, he had that whole no goals in 35 games or something, then he goes and scores twice. And then Fulham this season have their penalty woes, like I think missing 4 out of 5 penalties, and then they go and score here. Leicester managed to get one back with Barnes in like the 85th minute, but like I said, they for some reason they left it way too late to start being offensive. Like Brendan Rodgers actually brought under on at half time instead of the 70th minute, like in the last game. And it definitely goes to show how much an impact he makes when he comes on. But like I said, they left it too late to actually start attacking. And then West Ham versus Aston Villa, it's 2-1. Obama scores in 2 minutes with a header. Grealish gets an equaliser later on from long range, a bit of a deflection. And then Bowen gets the winning goal for West Ham, so it's another win for West Ham, so they're doing very well for themselves. Let's go on to the standings. So Tottenham and Liverpool both have 21 points, but Tottenham are top with goal difference. The draw coming in handy. Chelsea are third with 19. Leicester stay fourth with 18. They could have gone to second if they won. West Ham have now gone up to fifth with 17 points. Southampton are sixth with 17 points. Wolves are seventh with 17 points. Everton have dropped to 8th with 16 points. Manchester United are 9th with 16 points. Aston Villa are 10th with 15 points. Manchester City are 11th with 15 points. Leeds are 12th with 14 points. Newcastle are 13th with 14 points. Arsenal are 14th with 13 points. Crystal Palace 15th with 13. Brighton are 16th with 10. Fulham are 17th with 7, which took them out of the relegation zone. West Brom are 6th with... 18th with 6 points. I believe the win they had was their first win of the season. Burnley are 19th with 5 points, and then Sheffield United are rock bottom with just the 1 point, I'm afraid. Burnley have the worst goal difference on minus 13, with Sheffield United are minus 12 and West Brom are minus 11. Like I said, like this season so far is a bit all over the place with who wins and who loses. But I think that makes it fun. Like, there's no guaranteed winner, sort of like the last few seasons. There's no 2 teams that are just constantly winning, or just the 1 team that's constantly winning. So the season's already over by the halfway point. It's nice to see that literally the difference between 1st and 9th is 5 points. It's a lot of fun, to be honest. Like, the difference between 15th and 1st is 8 points. That point last season was the difference between 1st and 2nd. So, it goes to show what difference this season has made. It's actually quite nice that in a way, no team is consistent on how well they do. But yeah, West Ham, Southampton doing very well for themselves. Everton unfortunately slipping down. Sheffield United definitely need to improve. Fulham have finally got their win, finally got the penalty, and all that stuff. But yeah, that's my review for Game Week 10. Thank you for watching this video, and I shall hopefully see you in the next one.